Hey guys, it's Steve. Just gonna turn on the screen share here so we can go through some really amazing new tools for those of you in the JV team. These will be released live to the public in a modified version, paid, free, JV, or free, then paid, then JV team model. But right now, this is the um, internal team variation, I guess, for lack of a better term. So this is under we have a team helper GPT, and we have an RGPT analyzer, we have LandOS. We're going to talk today about our team analyzer first. And all this triggered off of REI homepage. We're keeping everything there. So we're starting a new, and this controller that you're starting at will tell you to go to other prompts, do things, and paste them back. Just so you understand what it does. And I'm going to have ChatGPT create a sample deal, 3 forms. 1 is very minimal info, 2 is middle, and 3 answers all questions. All right, so all I'm doing here is unrelated to our conversation today. I'm just having it create some sample deals. So we come to the controller, we open run a deal workflow. And again, the controller tells you what to do and you bring everything back to the controller. And then you'll click start a new deal analysis, which is a little redundant, but whatever. So let's go with a mid-level information deal. And the purpose of this is to analyze, and I'm going to close these other windows because they're confusing me. They're from last night. I don't want to accidentally, whoops. Uh-oh, cancel. You know what? I don't know what I'm doing there. So I'm going to start over, guys, because I kind of goofed it. Closed the window I shouldn't have. So this is ChatGPT. This is RGPT Analyzer, which then has us opening eventually. Start a new deal workflow. And you'll see this is and you guys tell me because this is brand new. It's going to open with this. What are you trying to do? Start a new deal analysis, continue a deal already in progress, yada, yada, yada. Reply with the number. We want to continue a deal in progress, get help with a deal problem, submit a deal to acquisition scene. So this is how it opens. And we told it, 1, we want to analyze a new deal. All right, cool. We analyze a new deal. It opens the deal analyzer. A little redundant to push the start button. You're kind of already there, but just to be safe. And now it tells you what you want. And when it asks for any additional information, remember, guys, we have here, you want to be doing the scripts and questions. You want to be doing the stuff from the seller form. You'd like to have as much of that as you can when you get here. Okay? And it's important that I give a little bit of definition to what I mean by as much as you can. It is common that you're only going to get basic information from a seller, little information from a seller. But there's no reason you can't have gone to Batch Leads or PropStream and come back with values. There's no reason you can't have looked up common rental information in the area. There's no reason you can't have run it on Zillow and PropStream or Zillow and whatever, Google Maps, Google Sheets. Remember your flood zone? There's no reason you can't have done those kinds of things. All those resources, well, the Google ones you don't need, but they're here, like flood zone. So do you have to do it? No, but the more, any technology system is garbage in, garbage out. So we're just going to go garbage in at this point. We're going to give it, now we're not going to go garbage in. I'm going to take this address and I'm going to give it a little bit more information. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to give it that. So what's the flood zone? And this is how you learn what flood zones are. This is a federal map. Okay, so light blue is bad. Striped light blue, also bad. Light blue is bad. Red light blue in it, It doesn't mean no deal. It just means, but this is a no flood zone area. So when we answer this question, we say no flood zone. So we've now given it enough information and we tell it to start. So packet validation, it now wants us to go to packet enforcer. And that's what I mean. Like, it feels like it's pushing you around because it is. And it's going to say, take this information, which you wait till it's finishing its little processing thing here, and you're going to give packet information. It's going to say cannot proceed forward. You're going to instruct proceed without missing info. Because you're never going to have all the information. It's going to pause you and say, you really should do this. But you're going to say, this is what I got. Deal with it. Okay? And you're going to say, so you're telling it, so you've taken it from the packet enforcer and you brought it back to run a deal workflow. And of course, it's now in the infinite whatever. Well, this is what it's supposed to do. See, it's supposed to make you question whether you've really done everything you can do to give complete information. So we're back in the run a deal workflow. It tells you what the missing data impact is. It sends you to another checklist. What it's doing right now is it's really, and we may decide this is too much in the longer scheme of things, but go with partial info, boom. Even though you're instructing it to go with partial info, it's still going to warn you again. Now here's a good one. ARV, comps not verified. Absolutely no freaking reason why we can't go into batch leads and give it verified comps. So what I would do, what you need to do, what I would do and what you need to do is go here and print out, well, okay, so really, in all honesty, I really shouldn't do it now. I should do it when I actually give it the correct address. So you go into Maple Wilkesboro. I don't even know what I'm doing here. So again, we're searching. You can adjust, but at the very least, you want to be searching based on solds. And I scroll this over a little bit. Now you should look at pictures and see what's dipped in gold and whatever. You should pick the right comps. But just for purposes of speed, I'm going to scroll this over and I'm going to capture this. What you should do is you should look at comps, determine which ones are comparable, check them off, and export comps to Excel. So you're giving it full information. I'm skipping that here just for the purpose of the education. So right there is no reason that we can't give it rental comps as well. And if you decide not to, if you don't feel like you have that skill level, say average rent for similar property 1200, tax info and expenses as given, flood zone, no risk as given. Boom. So then you take all of this if it offers you something else, there's absolutely no reason not to say yes to it. And you just take what it gives you and fold it back. Again, you're folding it back into here to run a deal workflow. Property scope intake condition questions. Again, you're now going to follow what it's walking you through everything. We have no photos of this property. The roof is 10 years old. The furnace is 12 years old. Everything functions. The electrical system is acceptable as far as we can tell. Entire house needs painting, flooring. The kitchen needs 50% updating. The bathroom needs 50% updating. The windows are okay. Nothing else is really known, no other problems, no major exterior issues or structural issues. And this is where if you have pictures, you're going to include them. If you have specifics, you're going to include those. There is a rehab questionnaire, which it can take you through if you're not sure what the questions are. And you will upload any pictures you have. Property is vacant. People can live there, although it's ugly. Worn and full of clutter. And you'll see right here, it is taking you through the questionnaire. I already gave answers for heating systems and other things. Skip the rest of the condition investigation and complete with information provided. I'm skipping time here more than I want you to be skipping. All right, so I'm going to make a note of this because it doesn't want to let you skip. I'm going to make that part of its next job. This is me keeping notes of what changes. So if things don't go right and you can't proceed, this is what we're here for. No roof leak. HVAC functions, plumbing functions. Please include those. So you're going to answer these questions. Yes, system age 10 years, furnace. This is another change I am making a note of. This is just me making notes as we go for what needs to be done. It's a furnace. It functions. 12 years, no central air. And so I'm just going to go through these answers. It's just faster. It doesn't want to be avoided. I am making it possible to avoid this. Breakers, 15 years old, 100 amps, everything functions, no exposed wiring or hazards. Again, this is not largely difficult questions. These are basic questions. If you don't know, provide the best information you can. Plumbing is functional, municipal water, municipal sewer. These are important questions. Sinks function, plumbing does not leak, no visible water damage. So this is literally forcing you to walk throughout most of the questions of the house. You may not have these answers. And so it's going to give you an option in the next version of this to skip those answers. But for right now, it doesn't. Kitchen is functional, outdated for 50% replacement of cabinets and countertops. See, it doesn't want to accept me previously saying 50% updating. It wants to narrow that down. Bathrooms are functional. They only need cosmetic updates. No water damage, no leaks, no floor issues other than cosmetic. And this particular one, if you're walking through a house, you can use it to answer your questions while you're there. It's another tool for this, another job for this tool. Better way to say it. Windows and siding are functional and do not need replacement. Porches are functional and do not need replacement. Hey, Nair, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, Steve? How you?
All right. So I'm going to keep rolling on this because I'm going through the new AI tool.
Okay.
Which is, I'm going to make it a little bit less clunky, but it's very thorough. Like it's walking through specific questions. So just you can watch the tape later and finish up.
Okay.
We can catch up in a minute. So structure foundation, no visible cracks, no basement condition issues, no sagging floors, no framing conditions. So this is literally walking through every question. And right now it rigidly forces you to. I'm going to make it so you can say skip all future questions, but right now it's forcing you, which is actually a good discipline. It's actually good to be like, okay, but even if you have to say unknown, you're at least learning, hey, next time I got to get some idea on these questions.
Gotcha.
This tool is designed to be this is part of a much larger tool, which you'll see when I click back, when I finish this section. And by the way, this is the instruction. Whenever you finish a section, you download this to a Word document, you create a Google Drive folder, and you dump everything in there. You dump everything the seller gave you. You dump the PDFs from Backsleeves. You dump the screenshots from everything, the pictures. Everything you have goes in the Google Drive folder, and that gets linked into the form, and that gets linked to me and Ryan as well, and copied with us, with anyone with the link as an editor, or at least anyone with the link as viewing capability, but as an editor is better. So you bring it all down, and then you copy this back to the Run a Deal workflow controller. So it starts when you go to REI homepage, just so you see it real quick. REI homepage, team, chat GPTs, this GPT brings you to here, which pretty much starts you right off into this one, which is called the Run a Deal workflow. You get back here when this is the router that sends you everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we put this back in here and we say, okay, this is what's been collected. Great, condition intake. Now you save it as a Word document. Now you go to the rehab estimator. It opens a new GPT. This is the bottom of the tree. This is its main branch. And then these are all the little branches. So you then take everything from here. It tells you what to give it.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, all right, boom, give me that. And then it's going to ask you further questions. There's another rehab estimator that it runs you through, which takes the pictures and processes the pictures. And then at the end of the day, it will give you, like the thing that Ryan sent over yesterday. It will give you an actual ARV minus means we need to be at $57,000. That's not a price you run back to the seller to. This is what you prepare for me and Ryan. This is or this is what we use. This is also what we use if you don't give the host the whole thing. To prepare is it even worth spending the time? So now, and every time it gives you a result, you're doing two things with that result. And I should just wait till this little square turns into another shape. Because when this little square is there, the little stop button, it's processing. That's all it's doing. So it's still processing. Wow. But it's going through everything it learned from everything it was given.
Is it doing like deep analysis?
Yeah. So like right now what it's done, and it's actually a good question, like so repair it. So it's taken everything in and it's restated everything we've given it. And then it's saying, okay, based on the spreadsheet we were given, this sounds like moderate rehab, $25 a square foot. And I'm still struggling with this because I keep telling it use cosmetic plus everything else. It defaults over to this sometimes, but okay, we end up in, I'm still struggling. I'm still adjusting it, but basically it's saying, okay, 1,500 square foot assumed, moderate rehab. That means $25 a square foot. Boom, boom, boom. Roof leak repair allowance. Da, 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 da. So it's saying, okay, this house needs $54,000. This fictional house needs $54,000 in work. And here's where I got that information. So it's not just picking a number, it's letting me and Ryan go, well, based on what I see, I don't think you're looking at $6,500 in roof work. I don't think you're looking at $1,500 in electrical, whatever. I don't see, and it still struggles because sometimes these end up being too high. So, but, okay, great. So it breaks it all down, low estimate, medium estimate, high estimate. And its whole job here, you'll see now it's no longer a square. So now we're at the end. Its whole job here is to break it down, give you its estimate, and then plug it back into the Run a Deal workflow. So the router, the one that comes off of here, goes to this controller thing. Controller first has you launch the run of deal workflow, which is where most of the back and forth happens. Then you save this. That's the other thing is I forgot here. You got to save this as a Word document. You paste this into a Word document, save it to your hard drive, put it up in the Google Drive. It's all about having these in the Google Drive. Now, ARV valuation. So it takes the ARV guardrail comp enforcer, tells you to open that one, and gives you what to put in there. Now, I like to, and I didn't on the last one, but I like to take what it gives you, and then I also give it the attachments I've already given. Which in this case, I made a mistake. I did not save the batch leads attachments. So I would have to go back to batch leads and grab them again. So I like to give it what it tells me to give it, and I then also like to give it its own set of backup kind of thing. But if you give it what it tells you to give it, that's what it's asking for, because it has that information already in there. And so what this is doing is this is saying, hey, does it agree based on real data with what you told it the ARV was? You know, all of this is you got this from the seller, you provided that, and now it's going to do its best to come up with an end result answer on the other side. And you'll see here that it's starting at property summary, comparables, comparable price range, low is comparable, this is high comparable, that's the range, median comparable, that, 40th percentile, that. Okay, they happen to be the same here. Comp reality scoring. It likes MLS based on better than not MLS. Okay, fine. It always does these pull 10 high confidence, what I call upsells, and I don't know why ChatGPT upsells other ideas. You're fine to do them and include them also, but always go with what it gives you. You don't have to do the upsells. Now it wants to go through another analyzer. And yeah, basically what this came down to is that I wanted to create one big GPT, and you can't create something that complicated. GPTs have to be more, the prompts can't be that big. So now we make sure we give it what it wanted to be given. You always gotta make sure this is not in the little stop button shape, because then you won't be getting the entire information. Because if it's still processing, that little copy button will be at whatever point you push the button. It won't be a finished answer. This is the little processing symbol. And again, you see, like, it's going through property summary, it's going through flip analysis, it's restating everything you've given it. And what I keep forgetting to show is that when it gives you a final result, you're putting that into a Word doc, downloading it, and putting it into Google Drive. I'm skipping that step because this is a fake property. It tells you key risks based on information you were given. You know, square footage, for example. You know, things like 3 negotiation rules. No, we don't need that. I mean, again, like it seems to want to upsell itself, and I don't know why. But that must be built into their new version of the software. So you download this to a Word document, and you also paste it back in here. Math verification. So it opens that window, and while it's opening that window, you're waiting for it to finish this before you copy this. So I mean, this is a lot of steps, and it will, I will set it up so you can, people can skip it if they want to, but the more skipping you do, the less accurate the result is. Really, what this is mostly is to enforce that you've done all, and this is what I said early on in the conversation before you came on board. This is to enforce that you've done all the research you can. Because it's one thing, oh, the seller didn't tell me this, the seller didn't tell me that. That's one thing. But nothing stops you from going to Batch Leads and PropStream. Nothing stops you from looking at Zillow and Flood Zone and all the other steps and collecting, Google Maps and whatever. Nothing stops you from doing that stuff. And so really a lot of what this is to enforce making sure that Ryan and I are given the best information. Whether this tool ends up being streamlined for you guys and deeper for us or whatever, that's something we're going to sort of experiment with. But also, this is a good way because it walks you through the logic as it's doing it. Now, none of this is, and you're getting closer, but none of this is you guys call the seller back. And I will say, unless it's absurd, unless it's like the guy, unless this is like, hey, you know what? You presented a $9 million ask and the property's worth $3 million. Then, when you're at your level, Nair, on a case by case basis, I'll say, okay, you know what? Not a person by person basis. I'll say, you know what? Nair's, I'm comfortable with Nair. If this thing tells him $3 million and the seller's at $9 million, I'm comfortable with Nair calling the guy back up and saying, hey, you know what? You don't have $9 million. You have $3 million. Now you save this down as a Word document. You upload it to the Google Drive. You upload any supporting spreadsheets. You confirm the drive is shared with, and then you also paste it back in. And so, like now, pass with corrections, save the report as a Word document. Now, analysis combiner. Okay. You run this. Whoops. Sorry, I copied the wrong thing. You want to paste this into that GPT. It'll tell you exactly what to paste into the GPT. And again, sometimes I upload all of the backup data. Sometimes I invented the thing over the weekend. But and then again, it's going through and it's restating your report. It's giving you a summary. What's the seller's asking price? What's the ARV? What's the estimated rehab budget? How does this work? Partial analysis mode. Flip viability, rental viability, wholesale viability, risk assessment. So it's taking you through a whole, negotiation, not a deal at asking price. Duh, they almost never are. You can do these if you want. Again, those are the upsells. Those are irrelevant. All you have to do is take what it gives you and feed it back. And now it's going to do, it does a lot of restating. The reason it does a lot of restating is because the end result of this is to give you a single download that supposedly includes all the other downloads. So like I have it restate on purpose because when its final download is given, then it will, we end up with all, ChatGPT has a bad habit of abbreviating and summarizing and skipping details. And by you downloading each step to a Word document and then giving you it all at the end as one big document and you downloading that, we're less likely to lose detail. Because as you know, computers, when they lose detail, then, garbage in, garbage out. So, again, so fatal flags, non-confirmed. If the roof needs full replacement, but truthfully, what if the roof only needs a couple shingles replaced? Primary kill drivers. So this is the deal killer engine. This is the holy fuck, you have nothing. moderate flags, and we are turning this also into a sales tool that people can a lighter version of this people can subscribe to after we test the crap out of it. Proceed only if purchase price falls below that. So again, you download this, save as a Word doc, throw it in the Google Drive, and then you're going to go over here and you're going to paste it back. So most of the run a deal is happening here. And again, it'll tell you kill unless the deal changes. You guys aren't running back. Again, like you're on. You personally are kind of borderline, but you're not running back to a seller and saying, hey, dude, you're screwed. Because we just did it today. There was one that I ran with this for Ryan last night, and it said 55 was the number, and the guy said 63 was his number. So I don't want, I don't necessarily want someone running back to the seller and saying, listen, we can't do 63, we can do 55 based on this. Because then Ryan and I kind of talked it over. We're like, you know what, we'll try it at 63. That's not like it's 55 and 90 or something. So now it wants you to run the capital decision engine. And like I say, I know this feels like, oh my God, step after step after step. But each one has a very discrete purpose. And no, I couldn't tell you what each purpose was because I outlined for GPT what I wanted the system to do. And I said, okay, here's the bunch of things you have to do. And by the way, programming in GPT, well, it's amazingly easier than the old school of programming that I originally learned. I mean, I was tearing my hair out for 4 days because one of the challenges with ChatGPT is it doesn't have its own like sustainable memory. So you'll tell it, hey, I need to make this change. Well, then we should rebuild, and they'll name the exact same tool it just built, or something. Or you'll do a bunch of tools, and you'll set a certain rule at the front. But if every time you create a new post, you don't include those rules, it forgets them. So it's an amazing technology, but it's also like, we are in AI where when I was a small, and again, you are downloading this, storing it as a Word doc, uploading it to Google Drive, and you're also putting it back in here. But we are in AI where when I was born, computers were at. We were at the line in 1971 between paper tapes being shoved into machines, literally pieces of paper with holes in them, ticker tapes like from the old stock market, and digital entry. And computers were the specialty of crazy people. Even when I was in college in the late 80s, there was no computer on your desk. There was a terminal, and it was connected to a big brain. That's where AI is now. So again, this is capital decision report received. Now merge all reports into final packet. And it gives you this to give the final packet. Well, I'm going to check on who just called me. Oh, people. All right, so again, you're downloading this, blah, blah, blah. Download, save as Word document, upload Word document to Google Drive. Let's share with me and Ryan. And also the Google Drive link is part of the form. Then you give this. Merge all documents into final packet. So it didn't like something. And that's fine. Maybe we skipped something. I don't know. Deal packet merger. In worst case scenario, you tell the system, and so here's what it should be giving. Final deal packet, partial data version. Seller situation, lead source phone calls, financial asking price, ARV range, rehab estimate, rehab summary, final underwriting budget, major rehab items, ARV validation. So it's really spitting back everything to you. Now the one, I'm going to ask for it manually. So I'm asking you to give full results of all steps, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm dumping it back in here. Deal analysis. And then I'm going to take this and put it back there. This, the system will be programmed to do automatically. But right now what we're asking it to do is take everything we gave it all the way to the top, create one download, give a one-page executive summary, give a two-page executive summary, and give a breakdown of ARV minus, 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 all the way down the line. And so with this, what we've actually ended up with wholesale if acquisition is less than 160K. Because the investor, and this is why the breakdown is important, because it has 3,000 in holding and 12,800 as exit. So, okay, so we want to know ARV of 160, 70% rule is 112. 112 minus all the rehab costs leaves 54. Subtract holding costs, subtract wholesale fee. That's why we're at 40,000. Now, with that information, Ryan and I are able to say, okay, if we can get it for less than 40, cool, great, that's a win. And again, you're pasting this into a Word doc, downloading, uploading to Google Drive. Well, because that's how Ryan and I are getting all this, is from the Google Drive. But, and then you're also giving it back to here. But, you know, they're at 40. What if he's at 60? Then Ryan and I can look at this and we can be like, he's at 60. Do we have some play here? Do we think there's enough flexibility to make it worth the effort? All right, now I gave it to this, the control center, which doesn't really need it again. And it told me that by saying, what do you want to do here? Now, we're back to the control center, which the control center is when you're here and you're in our GPTs, our GPT analyzer. That's what takes us here. 3, get help with a deal problem. Team Helper GPT, which miraculously is already linked off the system right here. And this is the last thing I'm going to cover right this moment. I'm going to cover So that might be a broken link in Control Center. So I'm going to launch it from here, and I'm going to make a note. So I just have a bad link. That's all I have there. And then it comes up here. This is if you can't reach Ryan and Steve, or there's just something you need a little bit of tweak on. But understand, it's AI. It's very fallible. So always double check with. I mean, you use it, but if maybe double check with us, or if the answer sounds weird or whatever, it's AI. It might not be accurate. It might, and this because there's two problems within the AI universe right now. One is that either I gave it the wrong information. Second is it interpreted what I gave it a little wrong. I wrote something that was unclear, and the computer said, let me decide what that means. Or three is, and I'm not quite sure how this happens, AI drifts sometimes. I will tell it, like in the rehab is a great example. I keep telling it, paint and flooring is $15 a square foot, kitchens are 10 grand, bathrooms are 6 grand, go off fractions from there. And then it'll say, well, medium rehab is $25 a square foot, include everything in one lump. And my prompt says one thing and it keeps doing this. So if the answers are not quite clear, but this is designed to be, it's a pretty good resource for the questions I've asked it. And as you guys ask it, that's the most important thing here now. As you guys ask it for something, then, and you're like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Or you guys use this tool, and hey, this is a pain in the butt. Here's what I think can make it better. We'll make this tool better. But at the end of the day, here's where, and this is the reason for the 70%. Maybe. All right, this person keeps calling me about a property she cannot afford. So 123,800. And then this is what I'll wrap up with, and then we'll cover whatever else you want to cover. If they're going to sell it for 160, 70% of that is 112. And then 112, 58,000, 54,000 minus this, subtract wholesale fee. Final offer strike is here. So if we got it for 40,000, we sell it for 50,000. The investor puts in 58, holding and exit costs. And this is why it looks wrong. And I now know there's something about this this here is really that 12,000 was what was catching me. Because if you come up here, and again, this is where where AI kind of drifted, 70% rule is 112. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, why isn't that 112? Well, that is 112 if AI hadn't put this number in twice. Exit is part of the 30%. The 30% is selling cost, realtor cost. The 30% is realtor cost, lender cost, profit. Realtor cost meaning meaning exit. Realtor, transfer tax, whatever. So I need to find a way to explain it to AI that it doesn't present it like this. It should be this exit comes down a little lower. But this is the correct math that if we're going to sell it for 160, the investor, if he's going to sell it for 160, he needs to be into it for 112. 112 minus the rehab, minus your holding cost, minus your wholesale fee. That's where we need to get it. So this really gives a complete walkthrough that then Ryan and I can say, all right, we're going to double check. We're going to do the long form. We're going to do the human side. But now the system now knows that in that folder, well, okay, you've given the system the answers from the information that we need to know. So we're assuming all that's been uploaded to the folder, the flood zone, the this, the that, the that, the that. It also shows you guys as it's going what the elements of a deal are. So really, that's the power of this tool. I need to tweak a little bit how the final math is presented. And I'm going to make that edit. I'm going to make that note on my thing over here. So run a deal workflow final. So I'll find a better way to explain that better. I wanted to adjust this so it doesn't catch your head. But anyway, so really what we've done here is this is the purpose of this AI tool, of these two, I should say, AI tools. We have two primary AI tools. We have the deal analyzer and we have the helper. And the last thing I'm going to show real quick is, and by the way, LandOS here is describing LandOS. LandOS here is the actual LandOS link to the LandOS. And then in GPT Analyzer, come on, you'll get there eventually. Submit a deal to acquisition team, find new acquisition targets. This is a great place to start for any kind of deal operations. All right, so that's where that is. And let me just remove this thing from the screen. Nair, do you have any other questions, thoughts?
I mean, no, it was pretty straightforward. I actually like how the AI was diving in deep on everything like that, instead of pulling random stuff from like random places like it normally does. So it's decent how you set it up like that. Now, was that because of the prompts and everything you told it to?
Yeah, so I outlined, I'd already built a lighter version of this that we were playing with before. And I just wanted to go a lot deeper. And what I want to do is I want to create a software that we can actually rent and sell. And I'm trying to make our tech stack better because I'm trying to, and this is where you guys can also make money. Is you find me more licensed agents coming on board, and you'll get a percentage of their monthly fee and their closings. So like, I'm doing everything referral based basically. Also on cold callers, I'm looking more cold callers, so that's that too. But so basically, I gave it prompts of what I wanted it to do. I gave it everything I knew. I said, here's how I analyze rehab. Here's how I analyze deals. Here's how I analyze rentals, flips, self-storage, yada, yada. And we didn't get into a rental version of this, but I certainly can in a future episode. But basically, it knows, okay, it's a residential rental. Therefore, we're going to assume this interest rate and that, And it came back to me, and again, I was literally screaming at the AI. My daughter thought I was fucking nuts. She hates AI, by the way, but I was literally like, "Why the fuck did you give me crap? Because I gave you X and you gave me apples, and I didn't ask for apples. I asked for potatoes." And so it got frustrating. But the whole point was now it has a system of, and this is like how. These aren't all from this whatever, but it's made up of a lot of AIs. And that's the reason the controller AI is there, is to be like the router.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, and I mean, it's fairly, it's fairly accurate. I mean, so far in using it for a day, it's fairly accurate. And yeah, so that's yeah. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but yeah, that's basically it came from me telling it what I wanted, and then ChatGPT said, "Hey, let's do this." And there's somebody on the watching the video said, "Yeah, Claude is better at certain types of research. I haven't found Claude better in this type of development." Also, I'm using ChatGPT because here's the trick with this: is that, and for those of you on my team, I'll share my password with you, but the way chat is built is you have to have a paid chat account in order to use the thing. So that's a little bit of a limitation I need to figure my way around before I start selling it. But basically, I forget where I was going with that. But basically, if you don't have access to this team members, let me know, and I'll give you my login to my chat GPT, because unfortunately you have to be a paid chat member to use it. Any other questions about this or anything else we should cover?
No, that's pretty solid. Oh, by the way, the 9 million guy said he can do a phone call tonight if you want to. I said okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about finding a time tonight to do that. So obviously he's willing to come down to some level of reality.
Some level, yeah, because when I sent him the message, he was like, "Well, me and my partner own it. Let me talk to my partner." I said, "Okay, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere." Because
Yeah.
I literally made it clear. I was like, "There's no way on God's like God Himself will probably look at you and say, I don't know about this one." So then,
Yeah.
like once he saw the message, he was like, "Let me ask my partner." And then I said, "All right, well, once y'all figure it out, just let me know." And then he texted me in the morning saying, "Can we do a phone call tonight?" I said, "Okay."
All right, cool. Yeah, we can do that. And I will call the one that you sent over with the guy that has the agent but doesn't have the agent but doesn't know what he has. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll deal with the agent first today, because I tried reaching the broker and I didn't get a call back. So I'll try dealing with the agent. Now, what I pulled up here, just so you see it, is I have, because I saw you've been posting and some other people have been posting different posts in Facebook, which are fine. Do whatever the hell you want, however you want to phrase it, that's fine. But I created this document with some ad copy, links directly to forms, and also some graphics that you can use. I mean, I don't care. You use them, don't use them, whatever. But basically, they're right here. Also, if you want, I do have anybody that wants. I do have self storage phone numbers to be calling as well.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, so if you want them, I'll send them over to you. If you'd rather call that sector.
Yeah, I can definitely take that. No worries.
Yeah. So you all have, anybody that wants it that doesn't have it, let me know. You all have the residential numbers for Luzerne County. We want to be hitting those hard too. And again, this is like, you can do you guys are independent contractors. You can do whatever research you want, but rather than being like, hey, let's wake up and look at this town. Hey, let's wake up and look at this. I'm trying to provide data in areas where I know we're going to have results. Okay, so I don't know that these phone numbers are going to have results, but I know residential in Luzerne County is very hot right now. I know we have buyers all over Pennsylvania. I know we have that. I know self-storage, if the deal is good, we have the buyers. If the deal is not, we can list it and try to wholesale it. And so that's all here. And by the way, the name to use in self-storage is not Joe Scarice. The name to use, because I saw you tried to use Joe Scarice. Name to is Scott.
Excuse me.
Now, I don't even know if you want to use this, because this is my mentor in it. So it's like, I mean, use it, yes, maybe, but you don't have to. Like, I personally don't refer to Scott unless I have someone questioning my validity. And usually I just tell them who the hell I am and they understand it. But basically, it's Joe Scarice does nothing in the self-storage realm, but Scott does. But basically, so that's why I sent you this, and it's got all sorts of graphics here. We've got this promotes, and we've got links for all this. If you don't have the right link, if you don't see the prompt in here, but cold color ads, whatever. Yeah, so the 9 million guy wants to talk. The other guy, if he's the guy, the guy with the land, pretty much good luck getting 60 grand for a basic city house lot in some bumfuck part of Pennsylvania, dude. What else to tell you?
Now I will say that somebody sent me and I was looking at all this stuff during the meeting. Somebody sent me a email basically stating that they have 2 lots in New Jersey that are like development lots for like 800, and I ran everything through Land OS through the RE Hustle Companion, and it pretty much said the deal was pretty much solid for the comps and everything. I have all the data. I'm about to put the screenshots of the FEMA and flood zone and all that and attach it to the email and send it to you.
Yeah, and really the best way to do it is to make a Google Drive folder, and then put so I'll just show you real quick what that looks like. Is like, come on, cancel. All right. Just because too many documents will fuck up an email.
Okay. So do you want me to send you the email and then the documents all in the drive, or everything all in the drive?
Well, basically, if you put everything, you put pretty much everything in the drive. So you want to make a new folder in the drive, and then when you create the new folder, oh shit, you're going to create a share, and this is the important part. Editor, copy link, and then you put that in the email. So you'll say, you'll write an email. You'll give me all property information here, and whatever's in here should be in a Word doc in the folder. So even if it's in the body of the email, which it should be, that's great. It should also be in a Word doc in the folder. So basically, all I have to do. So it's not even about what I have to do when I get the email. It's more about a week later when we try to go back to it. If it's not all in the drive, including what was in that email, it's fuck, where's that email?
Right.
I have to now go back and try to find that email. But so whatever's in the email should also be in the drive. That way, a week later, a day later, or I forward this off to Ryan, or I forward I say, hey Ryan, if the email gets lost, we didn't lose any information.
Right. Okay.
This is all about, and this goes into the Google form. This goes into not the Google form, the CRM form. Even in our seller form, there's places for links. So on one of these link fields, of course I'm not going to be able to pull it up right now, but put it in one of the link fields. And if you do that, like a lot of these uploads, if you do that with the Google Drive, a lot of these questions become redundant, because if the flood zone answer is already in the Google Drive, I'd like it here, but it doesn't have to be here because it's all in the Google Drive. Link to folder containing files. Great, your answer. Boom. That's it. Now, anyone that's in the CRM, there's the link to folder. Oh, well, he didn't answer the flood zone question, but let's see if it's in the Google Drive. Oh, look, it is. That way, eventually, maybe this one gets trimmed back.
Okay. Well, the flood zone for FEMA said it's perfectly fine. It's in Zone X.
Yep.
So whatever.
And exactly. And basically, what I do on that is I always answer the question, but then I also will PDF, screenshot, whatever, and show it. It's actually, so like, okay, you're telling me it's Zone X, which is wonderful. I trust you. Don't get me wrong, but 457 Blackman. I'm going to PDF this, and the reason I want to see it visually, and the reason I chose this property, And this one was one of my screw ups. I bought this house without looking at flood zone because I went to where it was, and I've lived here too freaking long. And I looked around and said, "Oh, there's no flood zone here. There's no water here." Well, haha! I didn't realize this is an underground creek. And underground creeks and floods can turn into not underground creeks. But the reason the picture is important is, let's say this was the target house. Okay, target house is not in flood zone. Target property is. So bank is going to say, haha, flood zone, even though the house is not. So that's why, yes, you're telling me it's zone X is great, but also by showing an image, we're able to say, okay, you know what? You know, we literally provide the image to people. We say, listen, whether you PDF it or however you do it, that was the wrong button. Whether you PDF it or however you do it, yeah, this is the one that doesn't like the PDF. So then you do Windows button, or Mac is the other button, Shift S, and you grab a screenshot. It'd be nice if it included the address, and then you can save it down as an image. But yeah, exactly. I mean, and listen, you know, if you forget to do this or you don't have the time to make this screenshot, no problem. Hey, zone X, you know, zone X nowhere near flood zone, or zone X really near a zone A, like if the dot was here.
Got you.
Zone X, but I'm right up against the zone A. So then, hey, because all we're doing with that, we're not deciding whether or not we take the deal based on that. We're simply being able to, if the person says, hey, do you happen to know what flood zone is? All we're trying to do, because when we take this Google Drive and we would change their link would be not editor, their link would be viewer. But we're going to send them the link of everything in Google Drive.
Okay. I'd send everything over. And
okay, cool. Let me pull that up right now. I just was going to do one unrelated to everything here. I'm going to do this because I sold a house 2 weeks ago and I forgot to actually post it as closed. And at some point, someone's going to get mad at me, and probably the buyer's agent.
Now it didn't upload them in the folder in order for some unknown reason. I don't know why.
Oh, as long as they have in the folder, nobody gets.
But they're all in there.
Yeah,
Compton, FEMA, and the FEMA are in there.
It uploads based on.
And he did send over a survey and everything, so I'll put that in there too.
I forget. Yeah, that was her. Find, save. All right, so let me check your email real quick. Yeah, so I mean, yes, on the one hand, because somebody else tried the tool and they were like, "This is a pain in the ass." Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But the flip side is, from my side, we get 3 lines of information. Then Ryan and I, you know, we could go back and say, "Well, get us more information, come back." But normally we don't. We're too much wimps, and we just do the research for you. So now here's a perfect example. So we take, we'll literally run this through the system. We'll say, all right, copy. Around New Jersey info. Oh, this is the link to. Okay, now I understand. This is the link to Google Drive. All right, now I know those.
Oh, okay.
So run a deal workflow. So now we're going to. Okay, then deal Google Drive. And the cool thing here is now we take land New Jersey info. We download it as a zip folder, which might take the core online ungodly amount of time. Don't know. And yes, this starts the back and forth with all the other prompts of what we were doing the last time. So I won't go through the whole long process here, But literally, we're now saying, okay, and this is exactly what this is for. If you don't do the AI and you give me this, first thing I'm going to do is do the AI, and I'm not going to be upset about that. I mean, I'd rather you do it, but if it's like, hey, listen, this is what I have, this is all I have time for. Eventually, I'll be like, hey, dude, you got to kind of make the time. But okay, great. So we throw this into the AI. The first stop for everything is going to be the AI. Let it break down. And now, is what you gave me here, is that the LandOS write-up?
Yes.
Okay. So
They gave it a 9 out of 10. Out of 10, it rated it 9 out of 10.
Nice. Okay. Survey observation, site configuration, location strength, yada yada yada. So basically, we're just going to walk through, and certainly for practice, you can definitely use this for your own practice on the AI. Is we're just going to walk through the AI and be like, hey, listen, before we ever even do any long form, because our long form is going to be educated by the AI, and literally every time we come up with. And the one thing is I built in 10,000 wholesale assumption. Obviously, on $1 million deal, we're going to aim for higher. Yes, show me all that. Now, what I noticed here is when I just jumped in the middle and threw this content in without giving it context, I just jumped in and said here.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't start at the traditional start point. So if you jump into an existing window, and fuck, I don't know, this just built the damn thing. You might need to say, okay, start running. Now, it came up with some good ideas. Like, it's generating this exact zoning and stuff, which is part of its training, but it kind of started a little bit in the middle. So I'm starting new deal analysis. Great. And it puts me in the deal workflow. And again, you may, but now we dump all of this because it started in the middle and it didn't point me to deal workflow. It just started thinking about it. And that's where AI is a little bit vague because it doesn't always remember its own context. So now I'm going to give this along with everything you gave, along with the uploads, along with your LandOS. I mean, basically, this is as little of garbage in, garbage out as we can accomplish.
Because that's basically what I did. I just put everything in the LandOS from screenshots to.
Oh yeah, no, you did it right, absolutely.
And that's what it gave me. I was even surprised that it even said 9 out of 10. This could be interesting. He was like, because what it said to me was, you're basically getting this like $300,000, but discounted and whatever,
yep.
And whatever it is. Because that's their asking. Their asking was $800K, and I was like, let me put everything in. And then LandOS was like, this is actually interesting if that's what they actually want.
Yeah, and so we should definitely call these guys back as soon as possible because I've got a 1 o'clock and a 2 o'clock. If I can get a break in the middle, if not, we can call them back. Ryan and I are scheduled to do something else at 3, but we can certainly push that, and we can call them back. And call if you want to let them know, hey, well, how's 3 o'clock sound? We'll say, and by then I'll have run the whole system.
Okay.
And basically, so what I'm waiting for it on here is it gave suggestions of things like zoning. So zoning and max units, that's definitely something to always look at. And I did a training with Will last week on zoning. And I can show you that. You can look up that video. Or
do you want me to call like New Jersey zoning place and see what's
up? I mean, you can call. So what you do for zoning is the first thing you do is you Google zoning map for blank township.
Okay.
And they'll probably have, especially in Jersey, they will probably have the zoning map online. And then there's zoning maps and there's zoning definitions. This is where zoning gets totally fucked up because no town. Remember, back in the day, every town was its own fiefdom.
Right.
So, like, Pittston City and Pittston Township have to this day two different government officials, two
Right.
different structures. One will call industrial. It'll have these letters and it'll mean this. The next town will have these letters. It'll mean that. Industrial town to town doesn't mean the same. Self storage can be commercial in one town and industrial in another. The point is, you go to that town, you look at the map. Oh, it's CX zone. All right, then you go to the zoning ordinance for that town, and you're like, oh, CX zone means this. And then there's gray areas after that. But you can call them if you want, but basically, yes. The short version is finding out what the zonings are is important. The other thing is what builders in Long Branch are paying, which you probably found out from Land OS. Highest and best development scenario. And anything else like that you can find. And the other thing that I showed Will when we did the other video, because he's reaching out to a lot of developers. And like they're coming and saying, I have a $7 million budget for this, 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 and this in these areas. And that's wonderful. Those are phenomenal buyers to have. But, and this is not a serious but. Let me not make it sound bad. But you have to decide that you want to do that kind of work. I had some guys come to me years ago, and I may have missed the boat on this. They wanted to do Bitcoin mining, and they needed, megawatts of power. They needed to buy a building where they could connect to megawatts of power, like buildings sitting next to substations.
Mm.
And what I found out, and partially this was because I wasn't clear how dedicated they were to me on sticking with me for it, is that meant going and meeting with and possibly paying the utility company to tell me where are the nodes that I can get these drops. And they weren't willing to underwrite those costs. And so I walked away and said, you know what, this avenue might be worth it, but these guys aren't. In my opinion, I did not have the time to dedicate to that. So I said to Will, listen, these guys are great buyers. They are phenomenal. And if you enjoy this, if you think this is the future, absolutely, I'll support you and I will guide you in it. But just realize, this isn't going to be, you call the seller of a single family and there's 1 million buyers for single family. You do the research that this developer wants this land in a CX zone in Philadelphia, and you find the sellers and that developer doesn't do anything with it, you still have done a great job. You've gotten a seller under contract. But just realize that what they call reverse wholesaling is looking for a specific buyer, and that is wonderful because you have a buyer.
Right.
But you also have to realize that developers are picky, and so like you might find something that this developer wants. Now, the reason I like what he's doing, and I suggest he does do it. First of all, it's an area he seems to enjoy. The same thing with you is whatever. But also because if you get this guy wants federal opportunity zone, he wants these zonings, he wants these districts. Well, if he wants them, probably to somebody else. So if you bring him a deal, he's like, oh, no, dude, I just bought another deal last week. I don't need that deal now. There is probably someone else that will want that deal. All I'm saying is when you get a specific buyer like that, I need this zoning, I need this, I need this, I need this. You're spending a lot of time researching that specific buyer. This buyer had 5 criteria. Great. Wonderful, but it's 5 layers of research. Now you've got the reverse problem. You've got impossible. And by the way, all I did was I took its result. I'm pasting it back into the work. Blah, blah, blah. So what I should do is I should take both of these and I should save them down to Word docs, put them in the Google Drive. In fact, I'll do that right now because it just doesn't make sense not to. Because this is an actual deal. This isn't fake. So I'm just gonna save both of these into one Google document. But you have the reverse situation. You have a seller coming to you and saying, hey, this is what I have to sell. So bingo Bob, yes, let's do this. Because you have a seller. And if we can get that product under contract, absolutely. So all I'm doing here is I'm saving this and I'm downloading it. I should probably name it, but whatever. And and then I'm uploading it to the Google Drive. Oh, I don't have permission. So you didn't give me edit permission. I will. I will.
All right,
Yeah.
let me fix that. I thought
Um,
I don't. That's why I figured I did something wrong.
You know, it's really under share when you go share. So I have to request info, which is fine, but you would give me edit access. What you gave was view access, which is fine. It's no big deal.
Now you should be able to, because I just did it.
Well, I think it might need a new link, but let's find out.
Because I literally just clicked the 3 little dots in the folder and hit manage access, and then just.
Let's see. Never tried it. Oh, it does let you do it. Okay, cool. So there it is. So whatever it gave me is now there, and then basically run it. So what I'll do is I'll run this, and then if you have time, if not, I'll get back to it because I've got a 1 o'clock I have to jump to. But basically, so what I'll do is I'll also add. Okay, so then basically then just, if you have time, if you get something, if you do another calls, do the other calls. You and I can circle back on this and we're on the phone with them. But basically, finding out what the zoning is probably more important. Running the zoning info.
Okay.
Literally, you're just going to follow the process.
So you said go to New Jersey, like zoning.
Well, it's whatever town in New Jersey.
Oh, gotcha.
Like zoning is typically not statewide. Zoning is all local. And it is possible that zoning can be changed. I have changed zonings before for entire areas, and I've changed zoning before for specific buildings. I had a building that was in an R2 zone, only 2 residentials. And I went to zoning office and said, I want to add a third, because I had this 2,000 square foot third floor. And I had to go to the county zoning meeting and have plans drawn up and this, that, and applesauce and whatever. And it was torches and pitchforks because all the neighbors came out. And they were all about parking. Don't take away my parking. Don't take away my parking. Sorry, I just have to apologize. I forgot the camera was on. But it then I showed them, I said, well, I have a parking solution. Here's my parking solution. Oh, we love you. Great. Yeah, no problem. And once I won over the neighbors, I won over the zoning board. Zoning boards are chickens. They'll do whatever the neighbors tell them. So even if you need commercial zoning and it's residential zoning, you might win the battle. Going the other way is easier, but the point is, zoning is written in stone, but it's not unchangeable, kind of thing.
Right.
So finding that out from the municipality is great. All right, I got to jump to my 1 o'clock. I did upload that other document, and then you can take it from there. We can regroup probably around 3.
Okay, I'll call them and ask them and let them know.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.